attend this mission news. It's my very first time going, and I just had a great experience. And here's my book. I've been asked to talk about the Latin America, people in faith. And these are Mexico, Jamaica, Belize, there's Puerto Rico, Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, all the countries down that way, Chile, Argentina, Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala. And there was a lot that we discussed, and 10 minutes ain't going to be enough, so I just want to go ahead and just focus on a couple of things that touched me. And they are a lot of pictures in here of these, there's a woman here. She can weave and sew. I don't know if you guys can see it. This young lady here. That's all she does every day, you know, just to make ends meet. And then the life of the Spanish colonies in Bolivia, the main activity was mining, you know, and they recruit indigenous, that's what they call people who live down in these countries, people, for forced labor. The Hispanic society consists of a minority of Creoles. Those are white people of European descent born in the new lands with riches and power. And African slaves were brought to this country. And as the living and working conditions were the worst possible, a slave's lifespan could be as short as 2 months. And so slaves were deemed cost-effective. And yeah, there's a lot of these people here, and their lives is not as good as we have it here. But they live, and the main thing I focus on with the children. There are forced laborers of children in the region, is another facet of inequality and discrimination in Latin America. Bolivia was found evidence of sexual abuse for these young girls who work in homes of their landowners. They were forced to give away their children because these families couldn't afford to take care of them, and they were told that these young kids will have education and earn, but some of them never really got a chance to be set and put in schools. The kind of violation of these young rights of these girls and adolescents reveals the practice of property-style labor relations, which allows the employer to adopt one or more children and assume upbringing and educational responsibilities for them while offering employment, which does not always happens, because the children usually are working instead of studying, and sometimes didn't even earn a salary. Some girls who do domestic work in household settings were between the ages of 6 and 12 years old. In Guatemala, the estimated 65% of domestic workers were indigenous young girls and adolescents. Impoverished families will often send their female members, like I said, to be employed with these domestic laborers in towns and cities where they work for an average of 14 hours a day and were often at the risk of physical abuse, psychological, and sexual harassment by employers and their families. Excuse me. The Commission of Historical Clarification from Guatemala finds that 88% of these affected were Mayan women and girls who were systematically targeted for gender-based violence. Practically femicide, and these indigenous women were murdered because they were women. And in 2011, 700 occurrences of femicide alone were reported in the Presidential Commission on Femicide. Bodies of victims were found to show signs of mutilation and sexual violence and were dumped in public areas, creating fear and insecurity within the communities. The general climate of impunity and new forms of violence, such as organized crime and criminal gangs, perpetrate a tolerance of violence which discouraged victims from seeking protection and redress from the violence they suffered. And so we just learned a lot, and that was what I was asked. And our leader was the lovely Miss Josephine Deere, and she just did a great job. But these women learned. They did culture. This young lady here, she's a Haitian Dominican. She's doing a dance in her home. And then there's these young kids. I remember she asked us to write things about us, and then to write a prayer. And I wrote about the young children and the violence against the women. And we all just sat around and I just feel sad for these young kids. And we said, this is a young boy, no matter what, they're still smiling, you know? And we're just so blessed to have the life that we live now. And this is just, these young girls here, 8 years old, they're just playing in the rain. You know, what all they have now is just these banana leaves just playing in the rain, you know, just innocent people. So we do need to pray for these people. And one of the things that we did, what they did here, they weave baskets, and they do it like, that's how they earn a living. So we were asked to weave a basket, and this was my first time, and here's my basket. It's crooked, and it took me almost 2 days to make this. But it does stand, look at that. I'm surprised. But yeah, I had some other people here who worked, and Danita, oh my goodness, she just did like 5 baskets. I think everybody just do this little one. So I was just proud of my little basket and for this. And yeah, just keep these young people and their families in our prayers.
Amen. Thank you.